Hey there, this is the Beard Out Podcast where we talk about two of the greatest things in the world, beer and Weird Al. And we're coming at you completely pre-recorded from a split-level cave 20 miles below the surface of the earth. And we are proud to be a member of the Odd Pods Media Network. So, let's just get on with this stupid show.
Hi, I'm Shannon.
I'm Jamie.
We're Married with Television, marriedwithtv.com. We are a couple of Hollywood normies on the outskirts of the film and TV industry, and we talk about our favorite TV shows, music, and movies, and sometimes they talk back to us.
Sometimes they do.
Our podcast is Married with Television, one word, on Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, and SoundCloud.
Possibly Amazon soon. And we are a proud member of the Odd Pods Media Network.
Married with TV!
MarriedWithTV.com.
Well, hey, how are you doing? Have a seat. Have a drink. Boy, I can glad to see you. But can you say? Where's Lana?
Okay, so I want to welcome everybody to a very special episode of the Beard Al Podcast. It's the podcast where we talk about two of the greatest things in the world, beer and Weird Al. Do you like my analog sound effect? Isn't that great? Yeah. And since it's a very special episode, my brother John is not here, so I have very special guests on to talk about very special Weird Al topics. And I have probably you are like the blues man of Twitter to me and Facebook
Sure.
and all of that. I've got Rob here, and you've got the Great Songs podcast, right?
Indeed.
And
Yes.
you do the blues stuff. So, and the reason I even bring up blues right here at the beginning is if people listening to this, if you didn't read the episode title, which how did you get this far without reading the title of the
It
episode?
happens, though.
I guess.
You just see the logo and you click. You're like, there's new Beard Al goodness out. You just click it.
Exactly. That's true. That's true. Thank you for that vote of confidence. I believe that must be what happens. We're talking about Weird Al and the blues today. And so, Rob, first of all, thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks so much for having me back.
Yes, I love repeat guests. That means I'm doing something right because people want to come back. So yeah, I mean, right here at the outset, talk about your show and talk about like all the blues music stuff that you do, because that is your, that you are establishing your ethos with my audience to talk about the
Yes.
blues.
Absolutely. First of all, let me do this is my analog sound effect. It's nothing. It's the sound of generic home-brewed soda stream bubbly water. So it really doesn't, no sound. I can get it as close to the mic as I want and nothing happens.
You've got that silent bubbly water.
It's delicious though. So yeah, I've played the blues for my whole life. First of all, let me get the podcast promotion out of the way. GreatSongPodcast.com. We are finishing up our 9th season, excuse me. And every week we talk to a music maker, a creator, a dreamer of dreams, and talk about one of our favorite songs, and our rule is if you turn it up when you hear on the radio, then it belongs on the show. So we've covered everything from hip hop to pop and jazz and blues and everything in between. And so we have a great time. My co-host JP Mosier and I every week are bringing the goodness. So
You are bringing the goodness, and thank you
We
for
are.
continuing to bring the goodness.
well, you're quite welcome. We hope to be bringing it for quite a while. And then musically, I've played like my default setting is blues. So I've played all kinds of stuff. But like when you like turn on my on switch, the thing that comes out first is blues. And it just always has been since I was a teenager and picked up a guitar. But last year I actually put out my first blues album. And it's called Also Ran Blues Man. Just a little dig at myself, even as I put out this thing that I love. So, So yeah, it's something that I super love. Blues guitar, is just one of those magical things to me. It's like it's one of the great American art forms, the blues. So I just super love everything about it. And it's so simple, and yet it's endless in possibility. So I could talk about it for a long time, but I won't.
Well, we're going to talk about what Weird Al does with it here for a little bit, for a lot of bit, actually, probably, but yeah, and I mean, I would like, absolutely, it's one of the purest, like, American art forms, like,
Yeah.
absolutely, and it's very complex in its simplicity, which is deceiving to a lot of people because we recognize the blues when we hear it. We're like, oh, this is the blues.
Mhm.
But eh, there are so many things you can do with that framework. And we're going to get into what Weird Al does with that framework here today because we have said it on this show many, many times that Weird Al has touched. I don't think there's a genre of popular music that he has not touched
Yeah.
and done an amazing job with. And he's touched the blues several times. And he did it on his very, very first album, his self-titled debut album that came out in 1982. The Buckingham Blues,
Yeah.
which is a little story about Chuck and Diane,
It is.
two British kids from the palace at Buckingham, which I'm going to let you talk about this in just a second, but I love the fact that we just said that blues is such an American art form, and then Weird Al's first blues song is about Prince Charles and Princess Diana.
It's so true. I've never even thought about that, but like the blues is born in like the Mississippi Delta. You think of like Memphis, you think of Mississippi, and it's like, it was the music of, like blues is the music born out of like poverty areas, in the same way that like in a lot of places, a lot of people play soccer because you can play soccer not expensively. All you need is really a ball. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To play the blues, all you need is like an acoustic guitar. And that was how, kind of where it was born, out of poverty. And so then to place that framework over the royal family is just kind of a funny thing in itself.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious. And, in the year 2022, the song has not aged well.
Correct. Yeah.
But let's talk about it in its time, because they had just gotten married, and they were all over media, all over the world.
Yeah.
And they're the exact opposite of what you said about like where blues came from. And it's such a Weird Al thing to flip something like that and say, well, what do these people have to be depressed about? Let's write a blues song about these people who really should not be upset about things.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They were like the Harry and Meghan of that moment. You know what I mean? Like we're not too far removed from these recent royal weddings. We saw the hubbub and, and you get a really good look at the royal family and sort of the decadence of the whole thing. And it was even more so at the time, I think, probably than it is now. And this this fascination with like the high society of, all that stuff. It is really truly like the opposite of what the blues should be.
I mean, and there's a couple funny one-liners in this song too. I love the talks on her princess phone line.
Yes.
In it. Simply because she's a princess and it's her phone, but also the princess phone is a thing. But yeah, and so I really do like that Buckingham Blues showed up on his first album, because the blues is also, like, in my opinion, now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my opinion, so it can't be wrong. But
and it's your show, so it can't be wrong.
It's right. It's my show. This is my show. It's a very raw art form too. Like there's a lot of just there's not too many other genres of music for me that express like raw emotion in the way that blues does. And Weird Al's first album is also the most raw thing that he ever put out.
Yeah.
And I feel like a blues song absolutely belongs on that album because of how raw it is.
Yeah, totally agree. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's one of those, it's like, I forget, I was listening to a song even today that was just a blues song and I know, I was watching a guy on Instagram just play a blues solo live, and the difference in like playing a blues guitar solo and playing a jazz guitar solo, which is probably the most closely related, right? You've got, if blues is in the middle, on one side you've got jazz, on the other side you've got rock and roll. But the difference between a blues solo and either one of those is blues guitar often just sort of comes out like it's usually off the cuff. It's never written out. It's, sort of from the heart or whatever. But then it also like it's played out of time. Usually you would think like in jazz, if it's, that kind of stuff, the phrasing of a blues solo, the guy just puts his hands down and he goes, you know what I mean? It's just like whatever you feel like making come out. It's in that regard, I feel like it's the most like from the heart sort of raw, because nowhere else will you find that. That's only in blues that happens. And I've never even really thought about like why. Like, I got to college and I started playing in jazz combos and stuff like that. And I would play that sort of phrasing. And my instructor was like, this is not a blues song. Like you need to play eighth notes or whatever, fit in the framework. But blues is just so much feeling. It's all feeling and emotion. And so that's a great observation about the rawness of it. I like that.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yes, I do what I can. Yeah. And I don't want to belabor the Buckingham Blues too much, because it is just kind of the gateway into stuff. Because I feel like Al really took the blues to the next level with his other direct blues song, which I feel like I'm going to need to talk about for a bit, because I also have a little bit to read about it. But there is a segue here, because what you're talking about with the solo in blues is in the song Generic Blues, right before the solo, he goes, make it talk, it talk. Yeah. And that is what blues solos do. It's like you're talking.
Yeah, it's so conversational.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got Generic Blues, which is from the UHF soundtrack, 1989. And we're going to talk about this, but I have to lead out by saying that, and this is in a book, so it must be true. Right. It is rumored to be one of B.B. King's top 10 favorite blues songs.
I mean, come on.
Like, high praise.
Yeah. What greater stamp of approval could you possibly get?
Now, so thinking about kind of what you were saying about where blues came from and what blues does, it comes from, it's easy to play from a place of poverty, and all this, that, and the other. And it's all feeling. And blues, it's, when you have the blues, you're sad. So like when we think of the blues music, like we don't think of happy
right
music, right?
Yeah.
And so enter Generic Blues, which the title in and of itself is, you don't know what it's going to be about.
Yeah, sure.
It's super generic. And what I want to know, what do you think of the lyrics of Generic Blues before we get into it musically? When you think about like Weird Al's Generic Blues, like how does that sit for you, like as like a parody of a blues song?
Oh, I think it's brilliant. Honestly, this is one of my favorite Weird Al songs, just because it's just such a, pardon me, it's just such a, kind of a ribbing of the genre itself. You know what I mean? It's like a caricature, and so I love it because it ends up being for a song called Generic Blues, it ends up being really, really hyper specific in its jokes. You know what I mean? Like it starts off with these, I woke up this morning and went back to bed. Could not be more generic than that, right?
That's right.
But still funny. But then, by the end of it, it's got this like, I'm going to join a league, put on a stupid looking shirt and go bowling. All these like really, it gets finer and finer and finer. The point on the lyric does the more you get into the song. And so I think it's fantastic. And since you brought it up, actually, one of my favorite Weird Al gags of all time is the "Make it talk, son, make it talk." And then halfway through the solo, actually, I've got a piano next to me. He starts playing this like what you call in music terms a tritone, which is
yes,
and he just keeps going. And so eventually Al goes, "Okay, now make it shut up." Like that's one of my favorite gags of all time. It's a music joke that is hilarious. I actually heard a band quote that word for word. There was a band called the Channel Surfers in the like early 2000s, maybe even late 90s, and they had like a hidden track on their album. Oh gosh, I can't think of the name of the album. Where I Want to Be. And this hidden track had a guy just playing a shred solo. And the lead singer literally pulls the exact bit and it's like, make it talk. And then he's like, make it shut up. And I'm like, man, that's just great. I want to have the opportunity to do that sometime, But.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Yes, absolutely. I mean, just like, I know I got a kick out of, it's one of those things that you just want to do. I did Dare to Be Stupid at karaoke a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
And being able to do I can't hear you. Okay, I can hear you now. Like in front of people was an absolute dream come true. So
No
I can fully understand wanting to do the make it talk. All right, now make it shut up. Like in context, it's I'm sure it would be one of the most amazing moments that of your life.
Yeah,
because
it's such a funny gag.
It's such a funny gag.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read a portion of this Weird Al Seriously book by Lily Hirsch about Generic Blues.
Yes, please.
Because she makes a really interesting point that Yankovic creates an unusual treatment of the conventional blues subject matter with recourse to the underlying issue. Quote the song, "I guess I got a pretty low self-image. Maybe it's a chemical imbalance or something. I should probably go and see a doctor about it when I've got the time." Now, the blues is arguably cathartic, a means of uplift through confession and communication, but rarely does it address self-help so directly. In the song, Yankovic combines the dark subject matter with a candid consideration of self-care.
Yes. Yeah.
And upon reading that, which again, I have to plug this. People, listen to the episode that came out. I'm checking my calendar last week. If you listen to that episode, you can learn how you can enter to win this very copy of Weird Al Seriously. Dun, 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 dun. So, I would say if you haven't listened to last week's episode yet, do so because you could win. And now back to the show. But yeah, I hadn't really thought about the fact that like blues music, again, I'm not anywhere near as deep in it as you are, but like what I've heard of it, a lot of it's just like, this sucks. I'm going to talk about how it sucks, and then in this Generic Blues song, he's like, yeah, this sucks. Maybe I should, get some help about this, you know?
Exactly. It's so like self-aware and meta, about itself.
It is. Can you think of any, any blues song that it comes anywhere near to like thinking of a solution to the problem?
Well, so I know that there are basically songs that reference the blues as the cure for the blues. And that's about kind of as close as I could get. Like you play the blues to feel better about the blues. You know, there's a blues artist named Buddy Guy who's one of sort of the last living like great old school blues guys. He played with Muddy Waters, and he's been around forever. He's of that era of like B.B. King, and he's like one of the last of those guys. And he has a documentary that PBS made, and the title of his documentary is "The Blues Chase the Blues Away." And so I think part of the feeling is like, when I know I feel like this is how it's sort of the, you know, this is the, it's kind of like a self-healing wound almost, you know?
Yeah.
So that's about as close as I think that I could get. I don't know if, you know, obviously the blues is such an expansive thing, but that's off the top of my head. That's kind of what I think of.
Well, I mean, that's a really good top of your head answer. And I mean, I like it because I mean, I know a ton of people that will listen to sad music when they're sad to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's the blues or emo, if that's your thing, or like just, you know, sad stuff. That's not a me thing. Like when I'm sad, I am literally going to pop on like Weird Al or like the most disco Electric Light Orchestra album that I have, and I'm gonna like crank it and feel better, you know? Like that's where I go. But I can understand the desire to, sometimes wallowing helps.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes wallowing definitely helps. And so, okay, we've hit generic blues lyrically. Now, as a blues musician, what are your thoughts on generic blues musically?
I love it. I think I've always thought one of the other kind of funny things about it is, and that you don't really know probably, or you may not notice unless you have sort of played the blues, or at least kind of familiar with the blues pattern. But like, you know, most blues that you hear and that people would recognize is in what they call a 12-bar blues pattern, right? And it's a certain set of chords that happens, and it's typically, you know, pretty much the same way most of the time. But in this song, there's a change. So it's basically set in, if you can picture this, and for those, you know, for folks who are listening who may not be familiar, if you picture sort of 3 lines, and each line would have 4 chords each. Okay. That's sort of the setup of the blues. And so, without getting too technical, the third, what would be line, is in this song different than sort of your standard blues progression. So in a song called Generic Blues, it's got a non-standard chord progression, which I always thought was kind of funny.
That is, oh my God. See, you're finding layers to the joke that I didn't even know existed. Like, cause I mean, I'm familiar with the, like, you know, dun, 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 like I can do that, like not well, but I can. So like, I get that, but it never occurred to me that this is outside of the generic blues. So generic blues is not so generic.
Not indeed. Which I always thought was great. And of course, the band always kills. You know, it's like you said, he's played every genre in the world, but the band always crushes everything. And so I assume, you know, this is Kimo on the guitar solo. It sounds like him for sure. I was actually going to ask, because I don't know if you might happen to know on Buckingham Blues if that guitar solo might have been Rick Derringer. Because I just don't know.
You know what? I mean, we can find out. I mean, I'm sure we can find out. Because that's a really good question.
Because it is I was thinking in particular on Buckingham Blues, that solo could have been played by any of the like blues greats. I mean, it fits perfectly and in that style, and it's like got like a bottleneck slide thing happening in a lot of it. And anyway, it's just so good. Whoever it was, if it was Jim or if it was Rick Derringer or if it was somebody else, that was both of these guitar solos are, you know, fantastic and fit right in the genre perfectly. Of course,
I think it was Rick Derringer.
Okay.
Yes, because the personnel on the Weird Al self-titled debut album has the only guitar player listed primarily is Rick Derringer, which I guess makes sense.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, because he did also reproduce the Eddie Van Halen "Beat It" solo on "Eat It," so I can see that. I can see that happening.
Yeah, it just has I was listening to it today and really for the first time thought about, I guess that's that doesn't sound like Jim necessarily.
Mhm.
So I was like, I figured it's probably Rick Derringer.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. First of all, I love that you can tell who is playing a particular like guitar, which is like I have my people that I can sort of tell apart. Like obviously, like I can tell Eric Clapton from Lindsey Buckingham. Like I can tell the
Sure.
difference, But
Yeah.
like these like not and I don't want to say like they're not iconic because like I mean anybody associated with Weird Al is iconic in my heart.
Right.
But you know what I'm getting at,
Yeah.
right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so for you to be able to be like, well, is this Chemo or is this Rick Derringer? And to be able to tell the difference is absolutely like that's marvelous. That's marvelous.
I'll take that as a badge of honor. Thank you very much.
I tip my hat to you, sir. Yeah. So now that weird would you call it a tritone?
Tritone. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That tritone solo.
Yeah.
What do you wish the Generic Blues had a different kind of solo on it?
Oh no, I really don't, because because that joke is so funny to me, right? Because that is a thing that you'll get like that. The funny thing about that tritone, like I wonder what key he's in. I think he's in the key of A. Sorry, I'm actually going to kind of scoot here in front of my piano if I can.
Yeah.
For just a second, I may disappear from your frame, but I'm here in spirit. So like, I think he's in the key of A, and so I woke up this morning and I went back to bed, and then so what you get is, let's see, his tritone would be on that next chord change. He's playing.
Yes, that's it.
Which is actually in the chord, right? So it's not out of place until he just plays it for too long, right? So it goes, and then it goes back to which technically is a little up, but then when it goes to this,
yeah,
that's when you start to go, this is not, you've got to stop, man. Like, you know what I mean? And so the longer it goes, the funnier it gets for me. But blues guitar players have a long history of, they'll find, one lick and play it the absolute mess out of it. You know what I mean? They just find one thing that just feels really good, or they like the way their amp is responding or something, and they'll just play it for way too long. Like that's a well-established sort of blues vocabulary thing to do. So for me, it's a perfect solo. I think it could not be better.
All right. I mean, like it's one of those things, like, because I've talked to people about the solo, and like I totally understand it musically now that you did that. First of all, thank you for doing that.
Hey, no problem.
This is not the first live piano that we've had on the Beard Owl podcast, but is the first live. Nope, I'm lying. I was going to say it was the first live piano played with somebody's hands, because my 3-year-old niece Cecilia plays butt piano. And she did that, right? She sits on it. She plays her butt piano, and she did that on an episode once. But then I remembered my brother played a really weird chord that we needed to like make sure that we heard. So you are the third person to play live piano, and the second to do so with their hands.
I'll spare you the butt piano.
Thanks.
Nobody wants that, I promise.
Oh my gosh, that's marvelous. That's marvelous. So yeah, I mean the Generic Blues is great. And before we started recording, you had talked about like that you had you'd come to the table with some blues adjacent, or as we say here on the Beard Owl podcast, blues adjacent songs. And let's start with the one that is on the same album as Generic Blues, which is one of my personal Weird Al jams. Because I will tell you what, I could listen to this song for an hour straight, which is saying something.
That would be a lot of times.
That would be a lot of times. It is the masterpiece epic.
Yeah.
Let Me Be Your Hog.
Yes, absolutely. Just, it's like, what, 8 seconds of absolute glory, whatever it is, 14 seconds, I don't know.
Whatever it is, it's marvelous.
The realization that when I was trying to find the UHF soundtrack, it was really hard to find back in the day. And so finally tracking it down and learning that Let Me Be Your Hog was the exact same length on the CD that it was in the movie, like it was like maybe 2 seconds longer, was the biggest letdown / like most hilarious thing. You know what I mean? Like, this is literally just for that answering the phone in the pool scene, and that's all. So absolutely hysterical. But yeah, it's sort of I would say it's obviously it doesn't even make it through 12 bars of that song. So you don't really even know like where it was headed, but I hear it as at least let's say a blues infused track, you know what I mean? Heavily blues influenced. Maybe if ZZ Top had a Weird Al Yankovic blues song, it could have been Let Me Be Your Hog very easily.
Oh man,
as opposed to something more traditional, like Buckingham Blues was a very traditional blues sound, whereas like Let Me Be Your Hog would be a modern rock blues, type of thing.
Yes. Oh my gosh, 'cause I love Let Me Be Your Hog, and I am in full agreement with you that I would like to know where Let Me Be Your Hog goes.
Yeah, right. Somebody needs to finish it. Somebody needs to
Yes.
It's just the Let Me Be Your Hog expanded cinematic universe.
I want the ridiculously self-indulgent, ill-advised vanity version of Let Me Be Your Hog.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Somebody please make that happen.
Yeah.
Because you're right. And I mean, I get the joke with it too, that it ends with that record scratch, like something happened. There is more to Let Me Be Your Hog. We just don't get it.
Yeah, maybe we couldn't handle it,
Maybe.
Just
maybe. It's just too much hog.
It was going to be the beginning of the explicit phase, and they were just like, you know what, we better not. We thought better of it.
Yeah, we better cut this. I mean, because of all those baby, 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 and like, yeah, I've never really thought about because I've always appreciated Let Me Be Your Hog for the weird, very very short nugget that it is, but I never put it in the blues category in my mind, which now that you mention it and you bring up the whole ZZ Top thing, I'm never going to listen to Let Me Be Your Hog the same way again. And that's not a bad thing. You've kind of enlightened the hog for me.
Enlighten the hog. That's going to be the name of my biography. Enlightening the hog.
Enlightening the hog. That's wonderful. That's so great. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then most of his blues stuff now that we've talked about has been in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
And so then as music kind of changed and evolved, he didn't get anywhere near to the blues in the 90s really at all. Yeah. And I racked my brain even before we sat down to have this conversation, because I was Buckingham Blues and generic blues. I'm yes, obviously. But then you get to the 90s and you get all of the, the grunge and alternative stuff and then the pop stuff. And he starts coming in with the rap stuff, which has its whole other thing. I mean, that's a whole other version of we're going to be sad and talk about it. And there's just all of this going on. And till we get to, again, as you brought up before the show, 2003's extremely underrated Poodle Hat album.
Yes, extremely underrated.
It is the most underrated Weird Al album that exists. Poodle Hat. Yes, but this is a soapbox that we have stood on the show multiple times. And I don't need to stand on it again. But the people know what I'm talking about here. But yeah, you said Party at the Leper Colony?
Yeah, Party at the Leper Colony is blues influenced or blues adjacent for sure. It's less so in in the instrumental sections where it kind of takes off and guitar solos and saxophone solos, that kind of thing. Not as much stylistically, but the boom 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 the boom 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 is very much in the vein of a old school blues guy named Bo Diddley. Who kind of, it's like a clave beat, right? If you think classical music or even Latin jazz, dun, dun, that kind of thing. But Bo Diddley took it in a blues vein and made it literally the song called Bo Diddley. But he's the guy. I don't know if you remember this. You're probably not old enough to remember the Bo Jackson commercials when Bo Jackson was playing sports and it was like Bo knows everything. Yeah. Okay. So one of them was they did a campaign with Bo Jackson and Bo Diddley. And they were like back to back on the thing. And Bo Diddley's a guy, he played this like square guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And his famous sort of contribution to the blues is that groove, the bump, the bump, the bump, the bump, 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 the sort of like hand jive that, from Grease, that kind of thing. It's that groove is a product of Bo Diddley's blues music. So at least in that regard, I would consider Party at the Leper Colony blues influenced or blues adjacent.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting. And now I love that you took like that approach to it, like thinking musically about it, which is why I have you, the blues guy, on to do this, because when I went and I was thinking about Weird Al music that might be blues adjacent, my mind immediately went lyrically.
Okay. And I did not for a second think lyrically.
Okay.
It's so funny.
Because I immediately went lyrically, because you've got it's just one of those days.
Yeah.
Where he's just lamenting all of the bad stuff that happens in the day, and they're dropping the bomb. It's just one of those days. And I feel like blues does that quite a bit. It's just lamenting a lot of things that are wrong. And you can find the lamentation of things that are going wrong in a lot of Weird Al songs.
Yeah.
And
that one in particular, I think is maybe one tweak away. It's very close. It's in a shuffle sort of dun, 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 dun. I think maybe if you slowed it down a little bit, and it could turn into a blues song very easily. I fully agree.
Yeah, especially with those lyrics. And you're right. It does have a bit of a shuffle. It is blues adjacent.
Yes, exactly. Blues adjacent-esque.
It's blues adjacent-esque. I like that. Oh, that's fun. And then another one that sprung to mind, which is not anywhere musically close to the blues, is Why Does This Always Happen to Me?
Sure. My favorite. That's my favorite track.
There you go. And so I would love, and I am going to just very like casually challenge you to do a blues version of Why Does This Always Happen to Me?
Oh man, that could be fun.
I'm just saying, I personally would love to hear it.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to hear it myself now that you bring it up.
Okay. And when you figure that out, please let me know so I can hear it, because that song is vignettes of things going wrong.
Sure. Yeah.
And like, oh my God, like, and I've talked about this too. And it's very much like generic blues, where the things that are going wrong are specific, but also kind of like not that big a deal.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Making absolute mountains out of molehills for sure.
And Weird Al does that constantly, making mountains out of molehills, and then in the reverse, like lyrically, a complicated song is also, like, oh no, why did I get constipated? Why are we related? Why did I get decapitated? Oh no. Oh no, oopsie, this is bad. Like this makes me kind of mad. Like, oh my God. And it's brilliant, and I love that. Okay. Hold the phone, stop the presses.
Okay.
Right now, because there is there's an artist, Summer Woods. She's out of California, and she put out a Weird Al cover album called.
Yes, she's a pianist, right?
Pianist, yeah.
Okay, yes, yeah.
Called Chihuahua Hat.
Yes.
Which I got. It's great. She did a fabulous job. She did an amazing version of Genius in France. But a lot of it is just her kind of slowing his stuff down and doing it kind of like in an acoustic sort of like
Yeah.
what the young kids would want to listen to these days kind of style. And I feel like somebody needs to do a Weird Al blues cover album.
Mm.
And I'm not trying to make you do anything. Okay? Like, I'm really not trying to make you do anything at all. But what I'm saying is
But I
you
should
should-
definitely do Weird Al
that,
Blues cover album.
that you should definitely do a Weird Al blues cover album. Could you imagine? Could you imagine, first of all, the fame, the fortune, the exposure? Like, Weird Al knows who Summer Woods is. Weird Al would know who you were if you were to do that.
Man, that would be really something. That could be my way in.
That could be your way in. We all have to find our way in somehow. Why do you think I started this podcast?
Right?
I was feeling sad about the fact that Weird Al didn't know who I was. And I was like, well, better start a podcast.
Got to change it. Yeah. What is within my skill set that could bring me in that proximity? I got to get in that circle.
Right. And, you're in the circle. It's the only way to do it. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of blues elements in Weird Al's music if you look hard enough, even outside the two like straightforward, like straight up blues songs.
Sure, because basically there's a famous song by I believe it's Muddy Waters, but no, it's not either. It's somebody else, one of the elder statesmen, and I can't think of who it is. But there's a song called "The Blues Had a Baby," and they called it rock and roll, right? And it's basically the idea that rock and roll is what came out of the blues, so that just about anything that you could say rock and roll was sort of birthed through the blues. Obviously, it's gone a lot of different directions, but and in that vein, I almost included one other song, but I felt like it was a little too far rock leaning to be considered. But given the fact that, excuse me, somebody like Jack White is very open with his like old school blues influence, then I would submit CNR as a song that is very close, could almost fit in this category.
Yes, you absolutely should submit CNR to be in this category. And I am looking at my calendar to talk to make sure I'm saying this right. In 3 weeks, John and I are actually covering CNR. So let's start the conversation now, because John's not going to listen to this. So I can come in real smart when I talk to him.
Well, CNR is obviously a White Stripes sort of pastiche, and with no bass guitar and that kind of thing. But even the riff on it, the guitar's like tone is pretty heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But the riffs are all really blues riffs. That da 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 da, right? That's just a blues riff. It's like a kind of a Led Zeppelin-ish, but and all those chord progressions are all, without getting too music technical, it's all like pentatonic scales, like minor pentatonic scales.
Uh-huh.
And this is what you're hearing in the blues, for the most part. And so it's all it rides that line of like blues and rock, you know what I mean? If that song has two parents, they are blues and rock and roll, So I would think your people who know where stuff like that came from will go, well, yeah, obviously this is a bluesy, type of thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it absolutely is. And I love that CNR kind of tells like this mythical tale.
Yes.
Because some blues songs do that,
Sure.
like talking about like mythical characters.
Mhm.
Because that is the kind of thing that, like, if you're not feeling so great about what's going on, like, you're gonna like look to this kind of larger than life sort of thing, and to
Sure.
build yourself up with. And I love that Charles Nelson Riley is kind of the object of that in this particular song.
Yes, of all the people.
I mean, who else? Who better? Who
Yeah.
better? Who better than Charles Nelson Riley? Oh, that's marvelous. It's marvelous. I don't know, man. Like, I think we've hit a pretty good time mark on this bad boy. Did you feel like you had any other points that you wanted to make at all? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I'm also not trying to say, like, if you had something that was like deep in your head or heart to say, I don't want to like cut you short with it either.
Yeah, to bring it all home.
Yeah.
No, I really don't. I just I think I've covered everything that I, kind of was thinking. So, yeah, I agree. I think we may have hit it.
I think we did hit it. You know what I mean? And in the words of a one-off character on the Frasier show, we're just gonna lick it and stick it. Like that's what we do. I mean, he was talking about tap dancing, so you just gotta lick it and stick. And I think we stuck it because I mean, there's a lot of bluesy stuff that happens in Weird Al music, and you know what? I'm gonna put it out to the listeners of the show. If you feel like we missed something, with Weird Al and the blues, let me know, because I'd love opinions on this. Like lyrically, musically, or like spiritually, like what do you feel from the song, all this, that, and the other. Yeah, let us know. Leave a comment. I'm like always down for feedback. And again, remember to listen to last week's episode to find out how you can win that book. I'm just going to remind people until the time runs out. So Rob, do you want to plug your stuff here again at the end, just to bookend it for me, please?
Yeah. The podcast is the Great Song Podcast, and it's at greatsongpodcast.com or all your favorite, podcast places. And my blues album is called Also Ran Bluesman, and it's available on Bandcamp or, Spotify, iTunes, all those other places as well.
Awesome. I'm going to do my absolute best to put the links in the show notes for this, for all of that stuff. I promise. And so, you know what, Rob, thank you for being here and talking Weird Al and the blues with me. This was great fun. Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me back. Yeah. Oh gosh, before I go, I need to mention, because this is the Beard Al podcast, I've been drinking a 60-minute IPA from Dogfish Head based out of Delaware. And this is for you, John, because you mentioned Delaware all the time on the show.
And you did it in about 40 minutes.
I did. So, I mean, this was my 45-minute IPA. So, for Rob, thank you for being here. And for me, I'm still Lauren, and everybody else involved with the Beard Al podcast. Thanks for listening, and we will come at you again next time, people. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Yay. Oh, that was so great.
Sorry, we got a one. We got a capital again.